COVID has been really hard for everyone. There's no doubt in one way or another. For me personally, it was incredibly difficult. I actually got COVID early on back in January of 2021. And when I was diagnosed with COVID, at first I thought it would go away after about a week because my whole family got it at the same time. And my daughters got sick for maybe 2-3 days, lost a bit of taste and smell. But then it was like a bad cold. My wife had it for about a week and then she got better. And so I thought after about a week, along with my wife, I would rebound and do better. But I actually turned to the other way and I got really, really sick. It went into my lungs to the point where I had pneumonia multiple times. And I almost died, actually. It was a very scary time in my life. It's very rare that we get to really ask the questions that people who face death do. And at that moment, I really was challenged to think about what's most important in my life. Because if you think you're going to die, nothing else really matters except family and faith. And so it was an interesting time for me because it provided an opportunity for clarity, an opportunity to think very carefully about what's most important in my life. And while it was very difficult, I really thank God for it now, because as I got better after about 2-3 months, I really felt the Lord giving me a second chance of really committing myself to the Lord and to His cause, and prioritizing the most important things in my life. And so for me personally, while it was difficult, I look back now with much thankfulness for that, what I would call severe mercy from the Lord, so that I can even grow closer to Him, but also have deeper conviction as to what God has called me to do. And so I'm really thankful for that. It was hard, and so even to this day, I battle with what doctors are calling long COVID. And so I still have issues with my lungs and breathing, but by God's grace, I'm doing much better. And thankfully, if the Lord has me serving Him more, I will continue to serve the best of my ability. As far as my church was concerned, many of you may know some of the challenges we went through in America because of COVID, from the churches shutting down. But as a result of that, with churches shutting down and masking and things like that, here in Korea, I don't think as many people are concerned about those kinds of protocols or prerequisites. But in America, culturally, they had a very difficult time with that. And so our church went through some very difficult conflicts where many people were arguing with one another about whether they should do this, whether they should do that, etc. And so as shepherds of the church, as an elder of the church, we encountered a variety of various challenges. And by God's grace, I think that's settled down now. But again, situations like that force leadership of a church, elders of a church, the session of a church, to again remember what's the most important thing as a church. It brings clarity as to our priorities as a church. It almost forced us to think about what are the fundamental things that identify us as followers of Jesus. The Bible, the gospel, and loving one another and being a witness to the world. In many ways, it doesn't get much more complex than that. And yet, it takes a pandemic to force us to really remember what's important. So again, very difficult time, but I'm very thankful for that, because even as a church, I think we're going to be stronger coming out of COVID.